test, which is also on Canvas. So once you've completed this live training, the online modules, and the post test, you are also going to be required to meet with either Taylor and I for a one-on-one follow-up. It's really just us checking in, seeing how you're doing, making sure everything in the training made sense, see if there's any questions. And then also we kind of just do a little post assessment with some questions. Uh, it's super easy. So once, and again, this is all going to be in an email. So once all of that's done, you will get your certification of completion, but only if you meet with Taylor and I one-on-one. That's like the main reason people don't complete the course is they don't do the one-on-one. And I'm going to send you guys links here in a minute where you can sign up. And then also you are going to be required to pass the post test with an 80% or higher. Okay. So don't worry. The post test does not have a time limit. It is open book, and you will have two chances to pass it with 80% or higher. If you do not pass with 80% or higher, don't worry. You will just have to do a little homework assignment that I will send you. So we do want everyone that attends the training to complete everything. So anything we can do on our end to support you, we're happy to do so. So after all of that, again, it's going to be in an email. After all of that, you will get your certification. We will email it out to you, and we will also keep a copy of that certification on file here. So if you ever lose it or need us to resend it to you, we will have that on file. I'm also going to, in that email, I'm going to send everyone at the end of the day, I'm also going to attach a copy of all of the PowerPoints that we're going over today, a PDF of all the PowerPoints, as well as a copy of the Workplace Supports Manual as well. And again, you can use this on the post test. It is open book. But the manual, like I have one printed off back when we used to do that. But this manual is awesome. Please use it. It is full of a ton of great information and resources that I wish I had access to back when I was a job coach. And we worked really hard in developing it. It was basically like, all right, what were a lot of the challenges I had when I was an employment specialist, and how can we overcome them? And so that's in the manual. Please use it. I'll also upload the PowerPoint and manual into the chat box. So if you can, download those now. But again, they're going to be in an email. So really the manual is great. And after I'm done with all this introduction, I'm going to copy and paste a link, a couple of links into the chat box to Sign Up Genius. That has Taylor and I's schedule. So you just go into that and then you sign up for a time to meet with Taylor and I on Zoom for a one-on-one. Okay. And it is a requirement of the training. I don't determine the requirements. That's above my pay grade. I just do the training. But that is a requirement of the course. If for some reason if you cannot find a time that works for you, please email me. I can, kind of make exceptions. And with that being said, please, please, please make it to these one-on-one follow-ups if all possible. I understand things happen, but please make it and remember when you signed up to meet with either Taylor and I, because there's going to be about 40 people in this training and we get to, meet with everyone. So it can be kind of hard to reschedule, and you might have to wait quite a bit to reschedule if you miss your meeting. So, and then just some housekeeping. Please limit the use of cell phones and other distractions throughout this training. We have a lot of information that we need to go over, and it is important for attendees to pay attention. Also, have your camera on if at all possible. I know a couple of you have emailed me beforehand saying that you do not have access to a camera. So I've approved that with some people, but please have your camera on and limit the use of distractions. Because again, we have a lot of information we need to go over, and it's important for everyone to pay attention. You will also be required to remain respectful during the training towards the other attendees and also the trainers, which is myself and Taylor. That is a requirement of the course as well. And with that being said, please speak up if you have any questions or comments throughout this training. I know it's online, but I do want it to be as interactive as possible. That makes the training a bit more fun for everybody and also myself and Taylor. So it's not just us talking at you guys for hours on end. Also, I know a few of you emailed me and stuff beforehand. You were unable to complete the online portion beforehand. Okay, that is fine. It is highly preferred that you do them before this in-person training, but if not, I will give you until Friday to complete the online modules. Also, for everybody, the online modules need to be completed no later than Friday, and the post-test needs to be completed. The post-test and anonymous survey needs to be completed end of day Monday. Again, this is all going to be in an email, but please have everything done by the deadline, just so we can, make it sure everything's in order so you guys can get your certifications. All right. Any questions before we really get going into the training? Oh, please raise your hand if you have a question or a comment. Taylor and I are both going to be presenting, so we are pretty good at monitoring the chat box if you guys do have questions, but please raise your hand or mute yourself if you have anything to share or you have any questions throughout the training. But anything before we hop in? All right.
Sylviane says hi back.
What?
Sylviane says hi back.
Oh, good. Hi, Sylviane. She's amazing. Learn as much as you can from her. She's really good at what she does. Uh, but right. Without further ado, again, once we kind of get going, I'm going to Lewis asked, are we completing the modules as we go or after? So please, if you have not completed the online modules, please do those after this live training. Because, right, it's going to be hard for you to take in that information and this information at the same time. But good question for that. No, so please complete it after this training, but have it done by Friday.
There isn't like an online module that we need to be filling out while we go through this, is there?
Nope.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, just participate for now, right? During this, just participate in this. And then again, all that stuff will be in an email. But yeah, good questions. Right. Yes, without for and I will yeah, good. And good. That's what Luz meant. Awesome. And again, I'm going to be posting links to sign up to meet one-on-one with Taylor and myself. Please do that as soon as possible. Like you're on the book so we can send over the Zoom that we're either covered in the online modules on Canvas or we're going to be talking about today. And right, there's different levels of the competencies. There's novice, competent, expert, and at the end of the day, you guys are all going to be, right, considered competent in these competencies. Right, without further ado, let's get into it. The workplace supports training, module 3, job analysis. And these are the competencies that are going to be addressed in this one. So it's going to be natural supports, also the difference between core, episodic, and job-related routines and activities. And the skill-based one is you being able to fill out and complete the job analysis that you will be required to do to complete this course. So after completing this module, you should understand the following. How to identify and utilize natural supports in the workplace. So we are going to be spending the majority of the time during this training focusing on natural supports because they are incredibly important and they are kind of they kind of go into the whole job analysis thing. So we're going to be spending most of the time on natural supports. And then also how to examine the workplace to maximize integration and increase employee work time, how to learn about specific duties and requirements of the job, and also how to outline skills needed for the employee to perform job duties. All right. I am going to pass it on over to Taylor. If we don't have any questions.
How's,
All right.
how's my audio? Do I sound good? Thank you. Yeah, so job analysis is the first step to support employees to learn every aspect of the job. Eventually, we're going to talk about a task analysis, and that's kind of the micro. This is the big stuff like, okay, what are the essential functions? What are the, like, what am I going to be doing each and every day? What natural supports are there? Is there coworkers we could talk to? Is there a supervisor that is the supervisor always in the office, or are they out there on the floor and could possibly use as a natural support? Natural supports will go more clearly into the next slide. But because that's a huge piece. What skills and tools are needed to complete the job? Are they is it going to be physical and hands-on? Is it going to be sitting in a chair a lot? Is it going to be what are the essential requirements in order to accomplish the tasks involved in the job? And then what strategies can be done for self-management? It's a funny one. Can they allow breaks? 10 minutes versus 1 or 2 30-minute breaks. Is there a chance at remote once or twice a week? Funny enough, I actually had a client once ask me if this job can I work remotely for this construction business? And I had to coach him like, yeah, I get that remote work is an increased thing, but this is a physical labor job. It doesn't really work like that. So that's another example why a job analysis is so important. What can we do? What can't we do? Next slide, Hillary. By the way, I do have to request that because she's got the power of the slides. I do not. So to carry on, natural supports are a huge thing, more than we may think as job coaches, because one of the common mistakes a lot of employers make is that they kind of jump in and assume that you are their support. Our job and goal as job coaches is not to be the primary support. We are there to aid and, coach, make sure that they know how to do the job, make sure those natural supports are put in place. So, because eventually you're going to have to fade away and not be there anymore. The job is to get them as independent and fluent in the job as possible. So natural supports refer to the existing social supports in the work environment. It could be either formally or informally. Coworkers, peers on the job, even supervisors can be possible natural supports. They do not develop simply by us fading. The job coach needs to strategically develop these natural supports. And sometimes, they do happen by just working in the job, but a lot of times we have found our people with disabilities and employers don't really know how to naturally integrate themselves with each other. So sometimes a job coach might need to encourage, like, hey, why don't you ask your coworker there how your day is going? Because you want them to form that natural relationship. One of the most common reasons that people with disabilities are not able to keep their jobs is as soon as the job coach fades away, nobody is there as a natural support, or they don't know how to use them. Like, the client needs to be able to, if they're stuck, don't know how to do a job, be able to ask a coworker or supervisor, hey, I'm having a little confusion on this. Can you help me? In fact, sometimes, again, they'll go to the job coach right away, and Hillary or I will say, I don't know. Why don't you go out? Have you asked your supervisor yet? Or if this is the supervisor asking, Hillary has this funny way of doing it. She'll just like stare at her client, just to hint very heavily, like, have you asked your employee yet. Um, that's and here's another point that I need to make. Natural supports is something that almost all of us have in a job. It's what makes us want to keep our job. If we have good support at our job, we want to come back. We want to work. It makes it more than just about the paycheck. Hillary is a natural support for me. If I'm ever overwhelmed and I don't have time to do all my tasks, I like to go to her and say, hey, do you have time at this time? I have to be at this location. I can't be two places at once. Are you available? That's an example of using a natural support. Sometimes, as unprofessional as it may sound, we have overwhelming lives going on, and it's nice to have someone at work to like just kind of during slow hours, like, I need to vent real quick. May I? And that's another natural support perk. It helps us feel supported. It helps us feel like, as I like to say, home away from home. And that makes us want to keep our jobs versus just, if I don't feel supported, I'm going to find the first highway out of there. I'm going to find somewhere that will support me and respect me as a person. Go on to the next slide, Hillary. So here's a list of considerations for developing natural supports. It's increasing the employer's capacity to take ownership for the employee. Again, the mistake is they may at first think you as the job coach are their support, like, oh, I don't need to worry. The job coach has got this. I'm going to let the job coach be the boss. No, he's your employee. That's the whole goal of this. The job coach is a perk for you, the employee, as well as the clients, so that we can make sure this thing can work. So that way we can have a stable employee to employer relationship. It is not a replacement for you as a boss. I'm not going to be the one giving the orders like, hey, go wash the sinks right now. No, the manager is going to manage. Development of natural support begins during the early stages. Huge. The earlier you explain that the goal eventually is for you to fade away and the coworkers and the boss are the natural supports, the easier it is. We don't want to explain that like 4 weeks down the road because it's very inconvenient. The managers will be like, wait, but I thought you got all this done. If you let them know like the first week that one of the goals here is to develop a natural support system so you know what to ask the employee knows what to ask you. That's the expectation. That's the goal. And they are mentally prepared for it before they get comfortable with you. Again, the misinformation that you are the primary support system. And it requires strong business partnerships. We do want to, this is why professionalism is so important, because we want to develop a healthy relationship with the employers, saying, I'm here to help you. I'm here to make sure this employee can integrate into your business as good as possibly can. I know how much of a headache it is to have turnover and lose an employee and then have to hire someone else. I'm here to say I have an employee who I think could do very well in your business. He may have a few loose ends that we need to work on. That's why I'm a job coach. I'm here to help. I'm here to help make things clear. I'm going to provide job analysis and task analysis so that my employee knows what to do. Your employee, my client knows what to do. And I got a notification on my browser. Sorry. And that way we can work together to make sure like, hey, this is going to work out. This is beautiful. We've got an employee I could rely. You've got an employee you can depend and rely upon, and I'm here to answer any questions and give you any advice that may help make it a smoother transition. Technical assistance, that's what we do. Sometimes an employer can ask me like, hey, I have tried talking to my employee. He seems to be scared of me instead of responding well to me. What do I do? And I'll be like, okay, my client seems to respond well if you ask him small, simple questions like, hey, are you doing okay? And then you ask what your needs are, because he needs to know you care. That's an example of helping an employer. Next slide. Boom, boom. So I've already been kind of going heavily into why natural supports are important. Again, it gives integration. It helps heavily increase the chances of the job being kept and maintained. Because just like all of us, we tend to stay at jobs longer, at places we feel supported and, well, have a sense of emotional safety. I want to be able to know that tomorrow I can still have a job, and I want to be able to know that the people do care and trust in me, that I'm going to do the job well, and I'm here for them, they're here for me, etc., etc. By the way, this part's important. Researchers found that supported employees were more integrated into the workplace when job coaches focused on supporting the employee to follow a typical work schedule, interact with coworkers, and participate in social activities during work and outside of work times. Ultimately, people with disabilities in the workplace need to be treated just like everybody else. They are not charity cases. Sometimes that it's kind of looked at that way. I've actually seen examples where at work, the company will be planning a company luncheon, but for some reason, the person with a disability doesn't get included in that because they are looked at as a charity case. Like, oh, we're doing this to make ourselves look good. Look at how nice we are. We have a person with Down syndrome cleaning our dining area. It's like, well, why not invite her to be part of the staff at the company luncheon? She's your employee too. She's helping your business run and operate. It's because of her your customers feel safe in your dining area. She deserves to be part of the team. Let's include her. Let's get her to these company luncheons. Following a typical work schedule. Guess what? Good news for you, employer. Just because they have a disability doesn't mean they're exempt from the rules either. You get to explain the rules and give it to them. I actually had one employer once upon a time when I was a job coach have really high anxiety because he didn't want to be sued for violating the Americans with Disabilities Act. He thought, okay, people with disabilities cannot be let go if they are not doing their job. I have to give them special protection because he has a disability. It's like, okay, Taylor, help me out. I don't know what to do. This employee hasn't been showing up. It's almost 2 or 3 times a week. He has a shift and he doesn't show up. He's also, when he does show up, sometimes 40 minutes late. And when he comes in, he just has a bad attitude. I'm sorry, it's not working out, but what do I do? And I said, how long has this been going on? And he's like, it's been going on for 3 weeks. It's just, and immediately I'm like, fire him, let him go. He needs to learn the natural consequences. You do not get to have a job and just show up. Life is not, you may have heard this quote from Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Life is not a jacket that you just hang up and put it on when you feel ready to put it on. That applies to everyone, including people with disabilities. If you have a job, you are under a commitment to attend that job when they need you, when you've agreed to show up. And if you don't, the employer has the right to let you go because guess what? You're not meeting the essential functions of the job. And me as a job coach, I had to see that as a golden opportunity to talk to my client and say, do you see what happens when you don't show up? That's life. it became a sad coaching opportunity that I never want to give, but some people, they learn from precept, some people learn from sad experiences. And that is not excluded from people with disabilities. Continue. Next slide, please. And this is the slide you like to give, right, Hillary?
Yeah, can I take this slide?
Yes.
Thank you, Taylor. Yeah, this is my favorite slide. I've spent a lot of time kind of researching these topics, so I like to present on this one. So thank you. So it's 7 reasons why natural supports in the work setting are important. I mean, there's a lot of reasons, but I don't know if like's the best word, but I really do, I guess, appreciate this list because it kind of encompasses really why they are important. Right, because the workplace retains a central role in most people's lives within the general population, and we all have natural supports. Same for people with disabilities. They should have those supports as well. So the first one, people with disabilities often remain socially isolated from other employees. And Taylor's kind of mentioned this, right? Like they aren't invited out to, maybe meetings or those all staff retreats. Like if I have to go to those all staff retreats, everyone should, right? So, yeah. You want to help the supported employee, the individual with disabilities, the person you're supporting, connect to coworkers. Also, sometimes the presence of you as a job coach can impede that development. It can, not only like physically, but like people can rely on job coaches too much. Not only the individual with disabilities, but also the coworkers. I kind of have I have a saying that I like to share with everyone that I train in regards to job coaching. So when you're out there job coaching, just don't be weird. Just don't be weird. The more behind the scenes you can be, the better, right? You're a wallflower. It is about that person that you're supporting. Just don't be weird. Easy, right? Um, next one. I'm gonna have you guys, I'm gonna ask questions. So, has anyone ever experienced having your clients, their coworkers, or their supervisors directing questions towards you versus the supported employee? Has anyone had that happen? I'm seeing some nods. Yep. Right. So, unfortunately, if it hasn't happened to you, it probably will. And I don't think it comes from an area of ill intent. It's just coworkers and supervisors may not have a lot of experience working with people with disabilities. So they may not know what to do. And I've yet to come up with a better term for this, but sometimes they need to be almost given permission to interact with the supported employee just like they would everyone else. Because again, they should be treated just like everyone else. So everything is a teaching opportunity. It's a moment to, share your expertise of interacting with people with disabilities, and they should be treated just like everyone else. So you're there to support, you're there to, educate not only your supported employee, but also the people that they work with. So, I guess for those of you who've had that happen, what do you do when a coworker or supervisor comes and asks you a question that should be directed towards your supported employee? What do you guys do? Mary.
Am I on?
Yep.
Good. Initially, it did happen. My client has been on the job quite some time. Mostly now, I am there to keep her safe, make sure that she has some physical barriers that could, cause liability. So, but as the staff and coworkers and supervisors saw that once she masters a task or is emerging the skill, I step back and they see me kind of in the shadows. And the thing is, she's doing her job beautifully. As they add new tasks, then yes, when I'm needed, I intervene or introduce something or make sure she understands it. But they see me in the wings and they've gotten used to that. The thing is, the employer won't, they're not fully comfortable not having someone there because of the liability. And that's the reason I think I'm really there. she could perform the task herself.
Right, so you're in the process of like kind of like showing that she can do it independently, right? You're there to
Absolutely.
supplement but not replace.
Absolutely. And then they do ask her things and she does gesture. If a customer asks where something is and she knows what they're asking, she will gesture if they can't audibly understand.
So right, like that redirection training. Good. Sophie wrote in the chat box. I usually try to redirect the question back to the client. Yes, I would say my friend, client's name, knows a lot more than me. They can help you. Excellent. I love. Yes, you guys are awesome. Right, like like Mary here saying like showing the employer like, hey, they can do this job. Right, like that's part of the role of a job coach. And then Sophie here, like redirecting, right? It should go to them, right? You're there to again supplement but not replace. And so but thank you guys for sharing. And so when that would again, I was an employment specialist for a really long time. So when right, that would happen to me. Right, like redirecting and directly telling them is awesome in a subtle way. But yeah. So when that would happen to me when I was out job coaching and a coworker or an employer would come and ask me a question instead of the individual I was supporting, I would just stare at my client. Right? I wouldn't look at the person talking to me or asking me that question. I would just stare at my client. Like it's a super subtle way to imply, don't talk to me, talk to them. Right? You're there to just support, right? If you want to ask a question, talk to them. Right? Like they're your coworker, they're your employee. It's a super subtle way to play. Yeah, don't talk to me. But and then on the other end of that, how many of you have had your supported employee, your client that you're supporting, come and ask you a question that should go towards their coworker or supervisor? Yeah, it's not an uncommon thing, right? And yes, as a job coach, where you can help answer questions, solve problems for sure. We're gonna get to that a little bit later, but right, when that would happen, when a client would come to me and ask me a question that should go to their coworker or employer, even if I knew the answer, right, I would just shrug and go, I don't know, I don't work here. Right? Yeah. Let's find someone who does. Right. So then they're going to know who they can go to when I'm no longer there supporting them, when I've faded out my support. Right. They're going to know which coworker or supervisor they can go to ask questions. Right. And you don't work there. You don't become a quasi employee. Right. The next one. The job coach support replaces the typical training offered to employees. So you're there to help the person maybe learn their job better. Maybe they need some accommodations, or they need help with developing a different way to learn a task, or they need help with advocacy or communication or whatever it is. Right? You're there helping, but you're not taking place of the trainer. Right? People should be trained just like everyone else, with you being trained alongside them. So you're there to supplement but not replace those supports. Right? You're not taking place of the trainer. Right, that's not your job. You don't work there. You're not the trainer. You should be trained alongside them, but yeah, that's not your role. So explaining to the employer what your role of the job coach is, like kind of like day one and everything, is really important. Just so there's no confusion. Which is a good segue into the next one. Job coaches are expected to solve all the problems. No, that is not your job. People should know that yes, you are there as a resource, and yes, you can help solve problems, but you're not there to just do everything, right? There needs to be some accountability on the employer and the coworker. And using a natural supports approach does not mean that there's no need for a job coach, or that job coaches won't spend time training and supporting workers on the job. But it does mean, right, job coaches have the responsibility to identify and facilitate those natural supports, and assist in developing social connections, and serve as a resource and support to supervisors, coworkers, and the individual that you're supporting. Okay. All right, next one. Number 6. Employment for people with disabilities is viewed as a service or a program. So this one really annoys me, and Taylor mentioned earlier, it really annoys him. It's kind of our, yeah, it's annoying. So employment is not a charitable thing. When an employer sees hiring a person with a disability as as a charity thing or like a service or a program, that really devalues the person, right? Especially when, they're showing up every day, they're doing their job. Like if people don't see that as valuable, okay, that's a problem, right? It's not a charitable thing. Like they're not there to work to make us feel better, right? That they have a job, right? They're there to do a job. And if they're not doing the job, they shouldn't be there. They should be treated just like everyone else and held to the same standards. Right? They're not there to make us feel better. Um, and we, so no one get mad at me. I didn't coin this term, but there's a term that we refer to this in the service industry. Like we've all seen it, right? Like we'll be watching like a sporting event, and they'll be like, "Oh, our water boy with a disability, we're gonna let him score a touchdown." Everyone cheers and they feel good, right? No, that's referred to as inspiration porn. And don't get mad at me, I didn't coin that term. But yeah, they're not there to inspire us or make us feel better. They're there to do their jobs, and they should be treated just like everyone else. It is not a service or a program. Um, and finally, number 7, the supported employee does not mainstream into the workplace culture. Jobs are sometimes out of sight, out of mind, back of house, or whatever. So in order to help, individuals become part of that mainstream culture, you want to, help find those opportunities to help integrate them into the workplace culture better. This might be, practicing conversation skills, suggesting things to discuss, acting as a role model. A big role of a job coach is acting as a role model for how those interactions should look. And you're there to support and, encourage that involvement of the individual with disabilities, with their coworkers, supervisors, and everyone. And so, yeah, day one, whenever I'm going in and job coaching, I am looking for natural supports and how to develop those and thinking of ways that I can fade out my support. So yeah, I thank you for letting me take over the slide. All right, Taylor, back to you.
Just wanted to share, speaking of just a little bit more on the hurt of being a charity, instead of seeing them as an employee. It may seem like it would make you feel good as a business, like, hey, look at us, look at me. I find there's a lot more joy in bringing happiness and joy to, individuals. I actually had one once with cerebral palsy who called me one day and told me I saved his life because he was always so looked down upon. He didn't feel like he had any real friends. And I was the first person who treated him like a real buddy. A real friend. I would actually say, "Hey, want to join me for lunch? Let's talk about WWE. What about that John Cena match the other day? He got throttled by Brock Lesnar." And he said moments like that helped him feel like a person. And because I did that, he came from being suicidal to he actually feels like he can enjoy life and be a real person because I showed him it's possible. And he became his own self-advocate, like, hey, you don't need to talk down on me. I'm a person just like you. And it's because I showed him there are people like me who exist. So if you want to really feel good, just do that. You never know. You might just save a life. You might just inspire a new life into people. That's the real reward of this occupation. You can go to the next slide now, Hillary. I just had to say that it made me weep. It was one of the best moments of my life. So here's some strategies to develop natural supports. We've been talking about the why. Why is this so important? How do we do this? Develop a relationship with the employer and talk about the role of a job coach. Again, do this very early on. One of the things we often encourage doing is write out a sheet and print it out and give it to the employer. Like, what is job coaching? Here's what we do. What is the goal here? And educate them on it. Sometimes you'll run into businesses that will be like, we don't work with job coaches. No, 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 no. And it's often because they don't know what a job coach really does. They think job coaches are trying to take over their role as manager, or they've seen job coaches who, sorry to say, just walk in and they hang out on their phone the entire time. And they're like, why are you even here? And unfortunately, we have seen that a lot. And just a heads up, like, be present with the clients, because really the only way we're going to help more employers have, hope and faith in our community is to show them that we care, to show them that we're there for them and we're there for the employee as well. We're seeking win-win, not special treatment for our client. If we can show that more, it's going to cause a ripple effect over time. It's not going to happen in a day, of course, but anyway, really important. Model interactions with the worker for supervisor and coworkers. So how you talk to the employer, your client's going to see that. How you dress is going to be a good example. I know we may have talked a little bit about that in professionalism, but you're modeling what good employership looks like to your client, and you're modeling as well to the manager, the boss, whoever. Here's how you talk to him or her. He responds well to this. It is okay to be like, hey, will you please go check the bathrooms? You don't have to be like talking to them like, what do you feel like doing today? Like a baby. What do you want to do? No, it's totally fine to be age appropriate and say, hey, the thing I need done right now is I need you to go check the fryer baskets and make sure they are filled with good clean oil and they're ready to cook the fries. Can you do that? And you might have to be the first one to do it just to show the employer, hey, it can be done. Highlight the strengths and interests of the employee. It can be very easy for us to focus on the limitations of somebody with disabilities. But we, as job coaches, we see the end goal. We see the passion. We see the potential. And that is what we are going to focus on. Like, okay, my client with cerebral palsy who kind of has a slow walk. Okay, I'm not going to focus on the fact that he walks slow. I'm going to focus on the fact that he is so personable. He is a hard worker. He wants to do a job well done. And I am going to show like, hey, why don't you show this manager what you're made of? And and I bet you if you could just show that attitude, people are hardly even going to notice how you walk. How great is that? And also just when you talk to the employer, I have this employee who is very driven and wants to do a job well done. If you tell him what you need, he will do it because he wants to do this job. How often do you have employees who just show up to work and they do the bare minimum? This guy will do more than that because he cares about, he actually takes pride in his work. I think he's going to be fire for your position. Turn it into something exciting, not like, again, selling a charity service. Reinforce positive interactions between the worker and coworkers. Like Hillary has shared a beautiful example involving drying and giving up smoking. Can you share that, Hillary?
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, I have a great example of just facilitating natural sports in the work environment, being as behind the scenes as possible as a job coach, right? The more, don't be weird, right? And the more you can be a wallflower, the better. So when I was an employment specialist, I worked with an individual and she worked as a hostess at her favorite restaurant. And it was an incredibly busy restaurant. So if you guys have ever worked in restaurants or if you ever job coach someone there, restaurants, they could be high stress environments and go, go, go. Right. So high stress environment. So what my individual I was supporting would do during her breaks to kind of de-stress was she would bring in coloring books, like those adult coloring books. They have like intricate patterns and stuff. You guys seen them? They're really cool. She would do cat ones, so they were awesome. But during her break, she'd go to the break room and she would sit and she would draw to, de-stress. And so one day I noticed that, one of the waitresses that worked there, they were constantly doodling on their notepad. And so all I did was say to my client, my supported employee was, hey, looks like she might like to draw too. Why don't you go have a conversation about that? And she did. She went and she struck up a conversation about drawing and they became fast friends. They had so much in common. Right? It wasn't only that, it was so many other things. Right. So and it doesn't end there. Not only, did my supported employee, have this really awesome natural support and like newfound friendship, this waitress was actually trying to quit smoking. So my client, she said, this was all her too. All right. She said, hey, when I'm stressed during my break, I go and I draw at the break table. Why don't you try that? That's what worked for me. So instead of going outside and smoking, why don't you try that? So again, not only did my supported employee develop this really great natural support and this friendship, she also helped the waitress quit smoking. Doesn't end there either. Other coworkers of the individual I was supporting would see these coloring books and stuff at the break table, and that they were working on them together, and they would be like, "I want to get in on this. What's this?" So other people started bringing in coloring books and markers and crayons and colored pencils and whatever, and they would all kind of work on completing the coloring pages together. It became part of that workplace culture to work on these drawings together. And since it was a restaurant too, when the pictures were done, the employer actually took the finished drawings and like people would sign their name, and they would put them on the walk-in refrigerator door with magnets, like you would with your own refrigerator at home. Like, so it just kept going. And, so I like this example because, natural sports, it doesn't have to be overly analytical or complex. It's, simply saying like, hey, why don't you have a conversation like that? And the more behind the scenes you could be, the better. Like, I didn't do any of that. All I said was like, hey, she might like to draw. And that's it. And my client took the wheel from there. And right. So, natural sports are everywhere. It's just looking for those opportunities.
Yes, yes, yes. That is one of my favorite stories like I have ever heard. Like there's a reason I had to give the handoff to Hillary right there. It's just I want more of that. That is just beautiful. Last point. Utilize natural tools for interactions like shared workspaces and also seek out common interests and experiences between the worker with disabilities and coworkers. What Hillary just shared also can dip into this. Looking a lot of times we click and develop a natural support with somebody because we have a common interest beyond just our job. I mean, yes, you can start there like, hey, we both have a common mission. We are trying to we're trying to provide a good customer experience. Let's do this together. But if you can go even beyond that, even better. Hillary and me, we're both nerds. We love Pokemon. We love Zelda and things like that. We sometimes try to see if we can outperform our, hey, guess what I got at FanX this week? She has this big Gyarados poster. So naturally, I had to show, I can't really show it, my camera's filtering, but I have this super rare, cool Gyarados EX Pokemon card that's very holographic. He's got like the terrestrialization crown on his head. And I'm like, hey, it may not be a poster, but hey, it's a rare card. What do you think of that? And it only adds to our team chemistry. We're like, hey, we both love this thing. It makes it more fun to come to work and see each other. in a few weeks, I'm going to a Dragonsteel convention, and Hillary knows I'm going to talk about that. It just makes work more fun. It makes it something to look forward to. Like I said, home away from home. Next slide. Oh, come on, Hillary. Nerdier than me? We'll see about that. How many books do you got on your shelf?
Nerd. I'm an avid cosplayer, whatever.
I will give her that. She beats me in the cosplay department for sure. Okay. There are, like we said, there natural supports can come from various places, formal or informal. Here's the 6 types according to Track and Mail. There is organizational support. Like, okay, we've got, when I was working at NextWork, I had a good relationship with our CEO, Christy, and director Amy Wadsworth. I knew that if there was anything I needed, I could go to them for support, learning, encouragement, training. They were there to set me up for success. It was awesome. Physical support, being present one-on-one. Do you need, if you're allergic to latex, do we have an alternative glove we can give you, so that you can do the job without having to suffer for 8 hours? Social support. We just gave an example. What are some common interests we have together? Maybe outside of work, you've got, like, ask your client, who do you know outside your life who's cheering for you, who wants to see you do a job well done, who you can go to and report how work is going. Maybe they might have some good advice for you. They might just, help you want to do well at work, because a lot of us, we want to make our loved ones proud. I know a lot of our clients do. And sometimes it could be a case of maybe you don't love your job, but your job gives you the ability to do what you love. I knew a guy who liked to work. He didn't really love his job as a post office worker, but he worked there for 25 years because of social support. His real passion was acting. And he stuck with that post office position because it paid him enough to take care of his family and his loved ones, but it also gave him enough free time to go into those community plays. Like, I got to see him perform as Potiphar and Joseph in the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat. That was his true love. So, and that's part of his social support network. He gets to look forward to his hard work, gets him to be integrated with his castmates. Training support, again, training just like everybody else. If we are going to have a community training, everyone will be included in that. Every employee. Service support. Okay, if there's mental health going on, maybe there's a week or two where depression has just been soul crushing. Okay, is there a therapist that can be talked to? Are they on a good SSI, SSDI plan that can help kind of carry the weight if they need to decrease their hours temporarily for a few weeks? Do they, if they can only work part-time, is there a housing voucher they can apply for? And then obviously community support. When we feel integrated as part of the community, work is about more than a paycheck. It's about giving a sense of purpose. We build the community together. Every little thing we do. I have often told my clients there's no such thing as a bad job. If you work in fast food, somebody is grateful for that because you give them quick, easy access for good food during a lunch break. If you're a construction worker, thank goodness there are people building roads and building houses. That is not demeaning in any way. I am grateful for those people. if it's something as simple as selling at the GameStop, thank goodness we have video game sellers. I can that, especially ones who could tell me if they really would recommend that for me. That is awesome. So maybe take that as another nugget of wisdom from this class from me, is that whatever you do, it's important. We all are bricks, a part of a big castle we call community. So that's the beauty of what we do. And I think this goes off to you, right, Hillary? Is that right?
Very good. So I'll mute myself. I can take this one. So considerations for developing, natural supports. One of the primary roles of a job coach is to facilitate the development of natural supports. While a job coach, should not, expect supervisors and coworkers to automatically assume the role, right? The coach can help guide the process. So you always want to consider the supported employee and their comfort level with the idea of developing natural supports, right? As a job coach, give people the tools and information they need to be successful. But you're not going to go into a work site with the support employee and be like, hey, if you don't talk to 3 new people today, you didn't do a good job. Some people aren't social at work, right? Give them the tools and information that they can use to make those social connections. So what is their comfort level? You want to explain to the natural support what their particular role is. Which really does emphasize on guiding and supporting, not completing the tasks for the supported employee, right? Is that their role? No, right? The supported employee should be doing their job. Yes, coworkers can help, but they shouldn't be doing it for them. So it's not their job to do it for them. Is it the person's job to say good job every 30 seconds to the supported employee? No, right? I got an example of that. When I started job coaching, I will say my predecessor wasn't really the best sometimes. And I went to a work site with an individual. She did not need a job coach, by the way. She was totally independent, but I didn't know that going into it. So I went into the work site, and she worked at a restaurant. She worked front of the house, and I noticed immediately that her coworkers were kind of saying, oh, good job, client's name, and look at your strong muscles, every 30 seconds in a sing-songy voice, right? No, okay, so she didn't have strong muscles, so they were lying to her there. But also, she did not need that. It was drawing unnecessary and negative attention to her. And so I was like, we need to nip that in the bud immediately. Right? She doesn't need that. It's drawing unnecessary negative attention to her. But why do you guys think the coworkers and supervisors were doing that?
I think they were
Doesn't
trying
it
to
go
be
back-
positive reinforcement, but you're not giving the confidence, you're giving, I don't know what the word is, but you want to build the individual as well and be authentic.
Yeah, thank you I love the word authentic. Yeah, you want to be authentic. All right. They were lying to her. And yes, and we're going to talk about, and I also like that you brought up positive reinforcement. We're going to talk a lot about that in the next module, right? Everything, you should always be doing that positive reinforcement, but on a natural level, that, what they were doing was weird. And they were doing that because the job coach had modeled that. The job coach was doing that. So the coworkers and supervisors were thinking that, oh, that's what we should do to support her. No, that's not what she needed, right? And so it's because the job coach had modeled that. That's what they were doing because they thought that's what she needed to be supported, right? So, explaining your role, what their role is, and all of that stuff, going in to help eliminate potential problems like that. So explain what their role is. Look for both.
Is that the difference? That's the comparison of developmental and age-appropriate communication, right?
Yeah. Yeah, they were not communicating to her in an age-appropriate way or in a respectful professional way. Yeah. Right? I mean, we all like to hear that we're doing a good job, right? But how obnoxious would it be if we were in a sing-songy voice, if someone was saying that to us every 20 seconds? I mean, I would be annoyed by that. right? Like, I'm an adult. I know I'm doing a good job. You know, I don't need to be told every 10 seconds. But yeah, right? Like it wasn't age appropriate, it wasn't developmentally appropriate. I just wasn't appropriate in the workforce. But yes, thank you for bringing that up. Look for both formal and informal opportunities. Like read into the informal culture, like what rules are followed and what aren't. Like how social are people at work? You know, who are the real leaders or people that are looked at with authority? You know, how much deviation of the norm is tolerated. Also, finding coworkers that know the unwritten rules of the workplace can be super valuable, right? Stuff that you're not going to find in the employee handbook. Things like, oh, if you want to ask for time off, don't do it before the supervisors had their cup of coffee. You know, stuff like that. And, you know, identify patterns over time, make those observations of workplace culture, like what fits in, what's valued. Also, something that oftentimes gets overlooked at work environments, but can be a super valuable tool, is look at food and drink customs. Like, what are the customs and rules around meal periods? Like, what or break periods? Like, yeah, workplace cheat codes. Thank you, Jessica. Yeah, unwritten rules, workplace cheat codes. Like, yeah, what's the contra code? uh, yeah, food and drink customs. You know, what are the, you know, customs behind like meal periods? Do people sit with each other at the employee cafeteria? Or do people bring in food or drinks to share? Um, you know, like I know everyone in my office's coffee order. Like I know Taylor likes coffee black, right? I know that Aubrey likes oat milk. Like I know everyone's drink order because when I go on a coffee run, I know what they want without asking them. And they know what I want without asking me if they go on a coffee run. And that signals to your coworker that they're a valued member. Like I know you. Like, hey, like that signals to them that they're valued. And so these are things that your supported employees should be participating in as well. Also look for gathering places, like where do people hang out during work? Where's the water cooler? Right? Where do people go to socialize? Like within reason, right? We want our individuals doing the job, but you know, have like a natural level of interaction with your coworkers. Like Taylor mentioned earlier, like Taylor and I chat all the time about nerdy stuff or, you know, barriers and that we're facing at work. Um, just know the support employee and look at each workplace environment. They're all going to be different. Just like the supports you're providing, everything's going to be individualized. It's all about knowing what to look for, and you know, just don't be weird, right? Um, so all employees, with or without disability, seek out help to get their job done. And for each person, right, that assistance is based on those individualized needs. So figuring out what those needs are and helping facilitate appropriate natural sports is a really important role of a job coach, and something that you should be focusing on like day one when you're supporting people with disabilities in the work environment. So now we are going to take just a few minutes. Yeah, and I was going to have people go into breakout groups, but just for the sake of time, we're not going to do that because we still got quite a few slides to get through. But we are going to do this activity. So I want you guys to think of 3 people who provide you support at work. If you can't come up with 3, that's fine. Think of other people. Like my cats support me. Like my mom's my best friend. You know, she's a natural support. I talk with my cats, not to my cats, you know, and those are natural supports. And just for the sake of time, I'm going to ask some people to share. So when you do, just share one person that supports you. But think about this for a minute. Like, I want you to identify how these supports help you or could help you with emotional, tangible, informational, and / or social needs. List any barriers that prevent you from fully utilizing each of your supports. Like they work a different shift than you do, or they're incredibly busy. Also, what steps could you take to better identify and grow your supports? So for me, example, you know, identify how these supports help me. Right, I work on a team with subject matter experts, right? Like Taylor's an expert on customized employment. I'm the job coach expert, right? We work with someone that does job development. So like if I don't know an answer, I work with someone that probably does. And I can easily go to them and ask questions and, you know, ask for resources. Also, like I have 2 supervisors. I need 2 people supervising me. They both have open door policies. Like if I ever have a question or need anything, I can go to them. They're great natural supports. Barriers. that prevent me from fully utilizing my support. So at Utah State University, the main campus is up in Logan. Taylor and I are located in Salt Lake, right? We've got a small team here. So we're not up with a lot of people that work at the Institute for Disability Research Policy and Practice. So that's like a big barrier, right? There's a distance. So what I do to better identify and grow my supports is I try at least once a month to go up to the Logan campus and just work there for a day and interact with my coworkers that are up there. You know, so what projects are they working on? Like, how are things going? Is there any ways that we can collaborate? So that's me. So let's have some of you guys volunteer and just share like one person that supports you at work. Who wants to volunteer as tribute? Just unmute yourself and
I can.
yeah, sorry.
So I have a kind of a unique responsibilities here. In addition to doing the job training for our patients that are in the hospital, I'm also in charge of our greenhouse and our swimming pool, which has been a relatively new, I guess, assignment. So I rely heavily on, there's a partnership with a Provo school district. So there's a teacher down at the greenhouse. So I rely heavily on his knowledge to support me and helping me learn some of those new responsibilities. Of course, my supervisor is a great support to me. And then I have a coworker who I kind of use as my emotional support when I'm frustrated or having a bad day, or there's like personal stuff that come into it. I will just go in and chat with her just to kind of bounce ideas off of her to help like ground me and get me back to kind of a good, healthy state.
Great. So that emotional support coworker, right? Those are very valuable to have. I mean, so like in any given work environment, but I do feel like in human services and social services, especially, right? Like it's a hard job working, you know, with people. It's hard and burnout is a thing. So it can be really hard when you don't have someone you can go and like vent to or, you know, brainstorm together for potential solutions, right? Like, you know, in human services, right? We're not in it for the money and glory, right? We're in it because we care. And it's a job. So, you know, you need to take care of yourself. Good. Anyone else?
I'll jump in. Where I'm at, I don't think there's any one specific. I mean, we have amazing staff here. Everyone is supportive and feedback, and you know, there's respect with everybody has their own experiences. But the more you communicate, it's like, hey, we see a problem here. What are we going to do about it? What's some ideas? So you just kick around, you know, thoughts, things. Like for example, we have like with our individuals, our friends need like clothes, like if they, you know, they spill or whatever. It's like, well, we don't have a lot of girls' clothes. So I'm like, hey, you know, I'm taking the stuff to DI anyway. Does anybody have things they're going to donate that they were just going to get rid of or whatever? And so I kind of started this whole, you know, whatever food or not food drive, clothes, you know, people's brought stuff. I had friends that are like, hey, moving stuff, my roommate stuff. And but yeah, just filtering through all this stuff. And then it's like, well, if we can't use all of it, let's see, there's winter's coming up, shelters around here. I know I do a lot of volunteering. So it's just something, it just is a matter of getting something started and getting it done. See need, fill the need. But I couldn't have done it without my coworkers, like seriously. The staff here is amazing. They're incredibly supportive. So I don't feel like taking credit is for that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's amazing.
Great. Like having that support is super important. And I just want to say personally, thank you for going and donating stuff to shelters and volunteering there. My last job, I worked at the Road Home as an employment
Oh.
specialist. Yeah, and like you
Nice.
make the world of difference.
Oh, thank you. That's amazing. Yeah, I love doing that. I mean, yeah, there's quite a bit around here. Like there's Odyssey House, there's the Women's Shelter, there's the 4th Street, there's, I mean, literally so many.
Oh yeah, I spent many days at 4th Street and everything like
Yeah.
that. So,
Right?
thank you. And then
One
we
of the
got,
things, one of the things that came to mind when I read this activity is what steps you can take to make things better. And because my client and I are all through that whole grocery store, and it's almost like a little city in there. People initially would come up and talk with me. Well, I would always make sure that I moved toward her and the three of us would be included in the conversation. That way, as they familiarized themselves with me, they also got to know my client. And so maybe it was from the bakery department, and they wanted to share about a recipe. So she got to chime in about what she liked, and so it just creates a more casual, friendlier workplace.
yeah, right, exactly, right? Like interactions and stuff. It just makes work better. Like think about it, like, right? Like, could you do your job if you didn't feel supported? Anyone here? Would you want to do your job if you didn't feel supported? Probably not, right? Like, so awesome. Thank you for sharing. Then we've got a couple in the chat box. Lewis said, I don't exactly work with other people, the clients, but um, sorry. But I have a community of people outside of work I play Pokemon with. Oh, Pokemon Go, we can trade some Pokemon, right? I'll send you some gifts. With that, I feel supported with it, and it really helps ground me. Awesome. Like, right, being grounded, we all need that. Then Miranda says, I don't really directly work with my coworkers, but I have support outside of the workplace. Good, right? Like, there are natural supports everywhere, like neighbors, people at a local cafe. Um, just like there's natural supports everywhere. I have family members I can lean on for support and a best friend. Awesome, right? We all need those supports. Um, and so hopefully this was helpful for you all to kind of think about, like, who supports you at work. Like, if you didn't feel supported at work, would you want to stay? Like, how can you better grow your supports? So hopefully this activity was helpful for you all, but I want you guys to ask your clients these questions. Ask them these questions, right? Have them identify, the supports and how they help them. What are the barriers that prevent your clients from fully utilizing their supports, right? And then together, you can come up with steps to better identify and grow those supports, right? Ask your clients these questions, right? They're just like everyone else. So, yeah, a tree is mighty within the forest. Yes. Oh, I like that saying. I love little sayings like that. So, all right. That was in the chat box. I'm not just saying random things. So identifying, right, the natural sports is incredibly important, especially when you're trying to fade out your assistants. And now, right, drum roll please, this module is called job analysis. We're finally going to talk about what that is and how these are also super important. You said it as a direct, but yeah, so the natural supports is a part of that, right? So now we're going to look at the entirety of a job analysis and what that entails. So a job coach, right? You should understand each of these steps and be proficient at clearly communicating with the employer, clearly communicating with the employee, and clearly documenting the essential functions of that job. Right? And there are a number of steps to learning about the specific duties and requirements of a job. And job coaches, right, should understand each of these steps. And you also want to be proficient at clearly communicating these steps with not only your supported employee, but with the employer as well. Right, really, a job analysis is the first step in devising a training plan. And the job analysis enables the job coach to learn about the job, right? Like, it's going to be hard to job coach someone if you don't know what their job is, right? Your job is jobs. And really, there needs to be some accountability on the employer and the employee. But really, the bottom line, when you're providing job coaching supports, you are responsible for seeing that the tasks are performed correctly. Not by doing the work for the supported employee, but coming up with strategies to help support them, different workplace supports. Like, how can they be successful at their job? And so the job analysis really is learning about the job. So you're going to want to determine the employer requirements and expectations. Don't just go off the employee handbook. Conduct a workplace tour and observe general work and identify those core episodic and job-related routines. You're also going to, and we're going to talk about this here in a minute, the core episodic and job-related tasks, but you also want to document the routines as well as other important information related to the success of the employee, right? Like, what do they need to be successful, right? What supports can be offered, right? So you can fade out your assistants, like, what are the natural supports? The chat box. Right, it's important to establish what is expected from all parties to have clarity. Yes, Jessica, exactly. Right, like I've yet to go to a workplace that follows the employee handbook to a T. There's always some deviation of the norm. Like how much is expected, like what rules are followed and what aren't. The unwritten rules, the cheat codes, as someone said earlier. What are the cheat codes of the work environment? But these are all things that are going to be different in every given work environment. Like the, environment at a construction site is probably going to be different than, a library, right? What's valued, what really fits in and what doesn't. So that's part of the role of a job coach. You get to wear, like Taylor mentioned earlier, a lot of different hats. Right. So what are, again, like don't just rely on the employee handbook or the job description, but what are the employer expectations and requirements. So a lot of this should be set up and determined by the job developer and communicated and trained to you as a coach. But things change. It is also a really good skill for you to have as a coach and a skill you should have, right? Like things change. Maybe there's a new manager or job duties have been adjusted, right? You always want to be, staying on top of like what are the expectations and requirements. So, to do that, you want to ask the employer to clearly specify the policies and procedures and the requirements of the work, right? Review the dress code and break code policy, the late policy, time off, right? All of these things that the supported employee is going to be expected to know and to do in order for them to be successful at work, right? Those unwritten rules. Know the employer expectations and requirements and how much deviation of the norm is tolerated and what are the unwritten rules. But you get to play detective, right? So, a job coach, you want to be, and then Brian and RJ said, act like you are applying for the job and then teach the client what you did. Yeah, that's a good way to approach it. I like that. Right? Like, what were you, like, if that was your job, like, what would you do? Right? So, as a coach, right, you want to be analyzing the job and the work environment, and you want to compile a list of those job tasks that the supported employee will need to learn and perform for them to be successful at work. Okay, so, and there are kind of different classifications for these, job tasks and duties. So there are core routines. So these are job routines that have cycles that occur naturally throughout the workday, and these are routines most frequently performed by the employee. And so some of these tasks will occur with repetition and therefore will be easier to learn because of a lot of different opportunities for the employee to practice and do these during like each of their shifts. Right? And those core routines are typically the primary job tasks in a job, right? These are the main job duties. And there are episodic routines. So these are tasks that are required for the job, but they have cycles that occur infrequently, right? Like these might occur a couple times per shift or once a day, weekly, quarterly, yearly. Right? They're still a requirement, but they might not happen every day. And then there are job-related routines. So these are routines and skills that, are not necessarily like in the job description or like required by the employer, but are necessary for successful job performance, right? So this might be, going to some trainings or coordinating transportation. Do they know when they need to leave to get to work on time? Or do they need to, to pack a lunch for work, or do they need to bring money for the employee work site or work cafeteria or whatever, right? So things that are related, but they might not necessarily be in the job description. So it's related to the success. Well, let's use me for an example. For me, a core routine is checking my emails. That is something I literally do every day. I'm getting better on the weekends, but yeah, I check my emails every day, right? I work when job coaches work, and job coaches sometimes work in the evenings on the weekends, right? So checking my emails is a core routine for me. I do that every single day. So this training is an episodic routine for me because I typically do it like once or twice a month. It seems like it's been more frequently lately, but right, I don't do it every day. oh gosh, that would be really hard, right? Like it's still a requirement of my job and I need to know how to do this training. But yeah, I'm not doing it every day. And then a related routine for me is that I am constantly reading new research articles, um, to enhance my knowledge of supported employment so I can stay up to date on best and new practices. Because a huge role of what Taylor and I do here, one of our core routines, is providing technical assistance to you all as service providers. It is, and what that means is that Taylor and I, a lot of times we go out and we go to work sites and we help support you as job coaches, right? Both him and I have a lot of experience working this field, and we're job coaches. Right? It's a perk from vocational rehabilitation. They see that you guys have a really hard job. So they're like, why don't we have some experts that can go out and help? And it's free of charge. So why not? Shamelessly promoting myself on technical assistance. So if you need anything, please reach out to Taylor and we will assist you free of charge. Right? And we don't need to let your manager know either. Right? It's a perk that you all have a service provider. Okay, so let us help support you. Next, we're going to go through a bit of a job description. We're going to do a little activity because I want you guys to get more of a feel for what these look like. So there are core tasks, right? These are what the clients are expected to do from the employer, like each shift. Jessica said utilizing time blocking and setting alarms reminders to help clients as well. Yeah, that's job related, right? Like I have so many alarms and reminders on my phone, right? That's related to my success at work. Yes, exactly, right? Like one of those job related routines. Right, so those core things that, the main job duties clients are expected to do maybe each shift. And then there are episodic tasks that are required, right? But they might not occur each shift. Like maybe once a week they have to do inventory. And related are exactly that. They're related to the job requirements, but might not necessarily be in the job description, but they're related to the success. So I want my laser pointer with this. So we're going to take a few minutes and we're going to go through this job description and we're going to identify which tasks are core, episodic, or related. So this is a job description for a former client of mine. Don't worry, all the information has been changed in this and whatnot. But we're going to go through and do an activity and I'll bring up some like polls and stuff and you're going to determine whether you think a routine is core, episodic, or job related. So since this was a former client of mine, I know what tasks are core, episodic, and job related because I could observe those and confirmed it with the employer. And I will, when I ask you guys each question, I will explain why it's core or episodic, but I just kind of want you guys to get a little feel for it. So you can see kind of like why this is important. All right, or let's do polls. Okay, can you guys see that? All right. Question 1. Welcome customers and determine their coffee interests and needs. Do you guys think that is core, episodic, or job related? All right. Got a few of you answering. We got about half of you. I'm okay with waiting. I want you guys, gotta make sure you guys are participating. All right. So yes. Oh, I didn't even read the job description before I started asking questions, but yes, this is a core routine. But yeah, okay. So this might be helpful if I let you guys know what the job is. So it's a barista intern position, and the primary goal of this job position is to acquire pre-employability skills that will assist our youth with further employment. Coffee shop baristas will promote coffee consumption by educating customers and serving a variety of coffee drinks along with other snacks and sandwiches. So that would have been helpful if I did that before asking you the questions. Sorry. But yes, this is a core routine. Just think about like whenever you've gone into a coffee shop, right? Like what do the baristas do when you go in there and you order a coffee beverage? Right? This is, yes, a core routine. That was something my client, it was a customer service job, and they were doing that every day repetitively throughout the day. Good. Let's do, we're not going to do all of them, but let's do engage customers by presenting and explaining the menu and answering questions. You guys think that's core, episodic, or job related? Think of a barista position. we got most of you. And some of these are difficult. Some of these could be like all three of them, right? But I know the answer is because this was a client of mine and I confirmed, that these were core episodic or job related. So yes, that is a core routine. That was something that my client was doing every single day when a customer came in, right? That was something repetitive, happened every day, part of a customer service job. Sue. Let's do question three, but it's this one. Maintain inventories by replenishing coffee bean supply, stocking coffee brewing equipment, maintaining supplies and food for coffee bar. You guys think that is core, episodic, or job related? This one is one of the ones where it could be like one of all three. And oh my, I'm gonna show results. Okay, it's like super split. That's interesting. Um, this is actually, so again, I confirmed it with the employer, and made these observations. So this one is actually episodic. Okay, because replenishing the coffee bean supply was something that was typically done at the end of the day or just as needed. Same with stocking the coffee brewing equipment and maintaining supplies and food for the coffee bar. It didn't happen every day. And then it was like, well, it was either once a week or bi-weekly, they would do inventory. So that was episodic, right? But for maybe some other coffee shop baristas, it might be core. But for this person, it was episodic. Right? It's important as an employment specialist for me to know that because it helps with the training plan design. Good. Let's do this is another hard one. Keep equipment operating by following operating instructions, troubleshooting breakdowns, maintaining supplies, performing preventative maintenance. You guys think that is core, episodic, or job related? All right, this is another one that's a hard one. Again, I know the answers because this was a former client of mine. So when you guys are out there job coaching people, you're going to know because you're going to observe and confirm, right? All right. Good. So yes, hopefully the equipment wasn't breaking down every day. So troubleshooting breakdowns, right? This is episodic. Same with performing preventative maintenance. And for this position, what that preventative maintenance was that once a week they would deep clean all of the equipment. That was the preventative maintenance. Right? So it was episodic. It was still a requirement, but they only did it like once a week. Right? So good. But right, like maybe for another position there, that would be core or it would be job related. Right? But for the individual I was supporting. All right. Question 5, wash dishes, clean tables, chairs, and floors. Is that core, episodic, or job related? All right, we got most of you. Yeah, so good. That is core, right? They were washing dishes throughout the day, right? People would come in, they'd sit down, they'd eat and drink their coffee, they'd make a mess, and they had to go and bust the tables, clean those floors and those chairs, and then wash those dishes. So that was core. That was happening, throughout the day repetitively. I didn't share results. It's been a couple months since I've done this training online, so bear with me. Let's do update job knowledge by participating in educational opportunities, workshops, and food service publications. Is that core, episodic, or job related? This is another one that's kind of difficult with the classification. You guys are rocking it. I like thanks Jessica wrote in the chat lol. Um So this is job related. So this was, learning about new drinks or like food items that have come out, like or seasonal
Huh?
drink. What? Sorry?
No, I'm doing a training right now for like the job coaching.
I'm gonna mute them. So yes, that is job related. Um, yeah, this was, learning about new drinks or seasonal stuff, right? Because we all know that Karen, right? If they walk into a coffee shop and they can't get their pumpkin spice latte, right, they're gonna flip. So this was related to their success at work. Also, at this coffee shop, each month they would do a drink of the month. So like February would be Valentine's Day themed, or like March would be St. Patrick's Day themed. Right? And all of the baristas would kind of like come up with their own coffee beverage, and whichever one was kind of the best, right? People would vote on it, and that was the drink of the month. Right? My client didn't have to participate in that, but it was related to her success at work and part of that workplace culture. And she did win drink of the month multiple times. She was very good at coming up with concoctions. So right. Hopefully that was helpful. I know some people don't like that activity, or some people do. I just gotta make sure you guys pay attention, right? But it kind of gives you a feel for like why these are important and like what to look for and confirm. Because right, depending on the worker, you might need to teach these routines differently. Yeah. Right, and so these are the core, these are the episodic and job related. I don't know why that's not lined up. Um, But really, like, it's important. So understanding and identifying those work routines and what they are is important because it will help you determine the training plan design. Okay, so those core routines that occur repetitively throughout the day, might give the worker a lot more opportunities to learn that task. But on the flip side, those episodic routines that, occur, only once or twice a day or a week might require more instructional assistance or a different way to teach or learn. Or maybe they need, maybe more notes or an accommodation or something like that, right? Like, so it helps. And then those job related too. Like, you might need to teach those differently. Like, right, it might be outside of the workplace that you're helping with those work related things. Like, you might be doing transportation training. Like, oh, do they need help with learning which bus to take, right? So that's related, but it might not be in the job description. So it really helps with the training plan design. Eh, Um, I'm just reading the chat, making sure I didn't miss anything. Unless it was the McDonald's ice cream machine. Yes, that would be core, right? Troubleshooting that breakdown. Wait, no, it would be not even on the job description because they never fix their ice cream machines. Oh, it makes me laugh. All right, so we're job coaches and we've identified those core episodic job related routines. So then you're going to want to document other important information, right? This job analysis is an analysis of the job, right? So other, information regarding the demand of the job should be documented. What are the physical demands, the academic demands, what tools are needed, what clothing or safety equipment. These things are all super important to document. And I'm going to talk about Taylor's actually going to talk about it a lot more in module 4, which is systematic instruction. And we're going to go into more depth, but right, those should be included in the job analysis. Yes, Lou says last time I checked, they aren't actually allowed to fix the ice cream machines. They're not. It has to be like a third company. So we're going to talk more about this in module 4, but it should be included in the job analysis. And then you're also going to want to identify specific accommodations that the employee may need, which I'm going to be talking a lot more about in module 5, which is accommodations and assistive tech. But all things that you want to consider and should be included in that analysis, right? Because that information obtained from that job analysis, right, it should be documented to ensure that you as a coach develops the appropriate supports and strategies for the person with a disability. Right? Like part of your role is providing the right workplace supports. Right. And other important information. So you're going to want the business information, the work schedule, job description, information about those core episodic and job related routines, tools and other materials, and also general comments and concerns. And so we're going to go over an example of a job analysis that we have in the manual. And that was I created for a former client of mine. But and it's a very basic job analysis form, but I am going to send all of you a template for a job analysis. It'll just be a blank template. It's going to have a lot more information you could fill in as needed than the basic one we're going to go over right now. It's a good template. Please use it if it would be helpful for you. But your companies might have their own job analysis forms that they want you to work off of. But you're going to be doing a job analysis for each client that you're working with for every job site. These are going to be done for everyone. Okay, it's part of the role of being a good job coach. Okay, so I'm going to provide you with a blank template so you can do that easily. Okay, any questions before we get into it? So this is, we are about to take a break here. We have like 2 more slides. So give me like 5-ish more minutes. We're almost done, but if you need to take a break now, go for it. But we're just about done. So this is a sample of a job analysis form. So this is like the top of the form. I have it broken up over several slides, and all information has changed, right? So we have the name of the employee, the business, we have the supervisor's information, we have the position, we have the proposed schedule, and we have the job description. And so Mary's primary responsibilities include cleaning the women's locker room, cleaning the upstairs women's restrooms, laundering rags, cleaning main entryway, and disinfecting exercise equipment. Right, so this is the top of the job analysis form. It's very basic. Next, we have information about the core routines. So we have the first core routine, which is stock cleaning cart. Stock cleaning cart is located in cleaning supply closet. Fill mop bucket, add cleaner tablet to mop water, assemble mop, place Windex and Becco disinfectant on cart, place 1 roll of paper towel and 5 clean rags on second self of cart, and attach broom and pan to cart. Then I have, right, the tools and materials. So Mary will need the cleaning cart, cleaners, rags, paper towel, mop bucket, broom, dustpan. Comments and concerns. Check that cleaning bottles have cleaner. And we're going to come back to this, all right? Next core routine is laundering rags. So roll dirty rag cart to laundry room, put on gloves, place dirty rags in washer, place 1 cup of laundry detergent in washer, place 1 cup of booster in washer, close door and start. Change laundry. Place laundered rags in dryer, clean lint trap because you don't want to set the building on fire. Repeat washing cycle. If more rags, turn on dryer. So what Mary needs is gloves, laundry detergent, and boosters. So the cleaning cart is located in the janitorial closet. And all this stuff is located in the laundry room. So that's where she'll find it. Next is discriminate between detergent and booster. So Mary had a hard time discriminating between the detergent and booster. So in order to help her complete the task successfully, what we did is we put color-coded dots on the bottle we put color-coded dots on the detergent and booster, and then color-coded where it was supposed to go into the machine. Color-coded really helped Mary perform these tasks. Okay. Next, we have the next core routine is clean women's locker room and women's bathroom. Clean and disinfect toilets, sinks, countertops, baby changing table, fill empty toilet paper holders, remove hair from shower drain. Please do that. Disinfect shower floors, sweep stalls and floors, mop stalls and floors, clean mirrors, remove trash. So what Mary needs in order to do this core routine is a full cleaning cart. So if she did not do this first core routine, she would not be able to do this one. Okay, so we have discriminate between toilet and counter rags. So I don't know about you all, but I don't want someone using the same rag to clean the counter that they just used to clean a dirty toilet. I don't know. If you're fine with that, you do you, queens, but I don't want that. So color coding really did help Mary with this. We had light rags, like white rags, that she would use for everything, and then else besides the toilets, and dark rags for just the dark rag, toilets only, white rags, everything else. Okay. And then the next comments concerns, thoroughly clean and mop each stall. So if you haven't ever cleaned a dirty kitchen or a warehouse or gym floor or a really grody floor before, you can mop and mop and mop, but if you do not use enough pressure on that mop, the floor is not going to get clean. So what I did in order to help Mary, know how to clean the floor is I put my hands over her hands and I showed her how much pressure to use when mopping, which is called a hand over hand prompt. And we're going to talk about that in the next module. But so I put my hands over her hands and I showed her how much pressure to use. Right. Next, disinfect exercise equipment. So clean equipment that is not in use. I had to go back and add that little tidbit because she would start cleaning the machines people were using. Spray Becco disinfectant on cleaning rag and wipe down each machine. So I also had to include spray it on the towel because she would spray it and it would get on people. So it's like spray it on there and then just use it on machines that aren't in use. Right? You can always go back and add more details as needed if you're noticing that there are some issues, right? And so what she needs is cleaning rag Becco and discriminate between toilet and counter rags. Like I said earlier, color coding really helped. So light rags could be used on the exercise equipment, dark rags, everything, or dark rags, toilet, white rags, everything else. Right? So these are the core routines, right? So these are important to know. Next, we have the episodic routines. Episodic, refill cleaning bottles, stocking cleaning shelf, TP, and paper towels. Tools and materials, bulk cleaning supplies, TP, and paper towels. Comments and concerns. Putting wrong cleaning supply in bottles. So this is why knowing what's episodic and core is important, because if Mary, she didn't do this every day, but if Mary was unable to do this episodic routine, she could not complete 3 out of 4 of her core routines. Right? So we're going to approach this differently and we're going to help set up strategies so she can do this, so she can do all of her other job duties. Okay, so again, color coding really worked with Mary. So what we did is we went out and we got a ton of different spray bottles with different colored lids, right? And then we put color coded dots on the bulk cleaning supplies. So it's like, oh, the one with the blue dot, the chemical with the blue dot, that one goes in the one with the blue lid. Oh, the one with the orange dot, that one goes in the one with the orange lid. And then we also, on the side of the bottles, marked how much cleaner should go in and then how much water to fill up. So she didn't have to mess with like ratios. She could just look and fill it up. Right? It's like, right, it doesn't have to be overly complicated. It's just like, how can we help remind her what cleaning supply goes in where, right? So that really helped Mary. So again, like, that's why these are important. You might need to approach them a little differently. She needed a little extra instruction for doing that episodic routine, and that's fine. Okay. Next week, so those episodic routines. Next, we have job-related routines. So clock in, clock out. Tools and material, ID badge, time clock. She would forget to clock out. So not the end of the world, right? But it was related to her success at work, because if she forgot to clock out, like, her manager or whoever would have to go track her down and like, oh, did you leave when you were supposed to? Did you leave early, late? Like, right? Like, so it was related to her, and we didn't want her to not get paid for some of the time she worked, right? So it was related to her success at work. So all we did was put a sign by where people clock in and clock out that said, reminder, all employees must clock in and clock out at the end of beginning and end of each shift. That's all we did, and that's worked. Right, so it was for everyone, not just Louise, thanks for reminding me, forgot to clock in. Right, related to your success at work. Right, so that's why it's important to know what's core, episodic, and job related, so you can set up those supports. And you might need to approach different core routines, episodic routines, job related routines with the different training plan design and a different approach. Right, so everything you document is going to help you. And having a good job analysis is really beneficial. So how I write my job analysis is I would write them so I could just hand them to another job coach and they would know exactly what they needed to do to support my individual. Right? Because like, I don't know if you notice, I'm not perfect. Right? So sometimes I wouldn't be able to go and job coach someone I was supposed to. So having a good job analysis, like, another coach would have been able to cover for me and they wouldn't screw anything up. Right? So that's how they should be written. More information document, it's going to help you. Also, I had another client at a very similar job, but he worked 40 hours a week, Monday through Friday, 9 to 5. And he worked in a really large architectural building doing janitorial stuff. And so each day he was expected to do different job tasks. Some of them were the same each day, but the schedule was never the same each day, or like what area of the building he was going to be in. So we wrote a job analysis for each day that he was working. So Monday he would go, we got binders and we had the days of the week on the rim of the binders. And then we laminated the pages and then attached a dry erase marker to it so he could go in and check off each of the tasks. Right. So Monday he'd go into the janitorial closet, grab the Monday binder, open it up, and it had everything that he needed to grab to do all the tasks that day, a map of the building, and then a list of his job duties. Right. He'd mark them off, end of the day, wipe that down, put it back. Tuesday, he'd go in, grab the Tuesday binder, and then do those job tasks. Right. So, the more you document, the better. And that's how he was able to do all of his job tasks and stay on schedule and be successful at his job. All right. So really, the more you're going to be doing these for each and every one of your clients. I thank you, Jessica, saying nicely done. Yeah. I will say I'm not good at most things, but I'm a really good job coach. And so, like, I'm not going to boast things, but I'm a really good job coach. So let me come out and help support you guys and come up with these strategies. Right? You guys are new. We all need a little bit of help. All right, let's take a 10-minute break. We are a little bit behind schedule. We will try and make up for it, but let's be back at 11:26.